So here in column E, we have some sample data, and what we want to do is count the number of groups that are above or below our targets. So we click this, we see our the maximum level is 100, the minimum level is 40 or below. And as you see here in column E, I have some conditional formatting. We don't want to count all three of these as a count of three. It should be a count of one because they're one group. They all go above 100, or equal to or above 100, and that counts as one. The same thing here. Those two are together. So once it dips back below, we reset. That's what happens here as well. We went below 100, we reset, we don't count anything, and then it's above. These two in a row are above. And it's the same for the values that go below. These two are both below, they're consecutive, that counts as one group, and this is a single value, it counts as one group. So let's take a look at a graph here just to help us visualize this. Here is the green line, which is currently set to 100 for the max, and the red line, which is set to our 40 over here. And we count these four groups. First group, second group, third group, and fourth group. But this is only a small little sample. Before we jump into any kind of a solution, we want to really think about how many rows and how big is the Excel file. That will determine how we solve this. When it's 30,000 rows, as in the case here, we can't just write some big monster array formula and drag it all the way down. It would probably crash or take a very long time to calculate. So let's jump over here and just here is our 30,000 rows of data. And up here, you might be tempted to use a quick count if, but this is not going to work because it's counting these three numbers as 3 and those two numbers as 2. That should only be a count of 2 because there's two groups here, group 1 and group 2. So this will not work. We have to do some kind of a calculation to determine, that these two shouldn't count because they're part of the same group as the one above. So this is the correct answer. Now in column I have the final formula, but this is what the answer should be. And I would say to start off, let's do something like this. Let's visualize what we want to build. We want to flag with a true or false, or possibly a 1 or a 0, the first group. This is the second group, and then down here we see the third and the fourth, and this would continue as we go down. So step 1, let's try to take this and put it into a formula. So we kind of start off using the AND function, and we have a single condition, right? And it puts a true or a false. But we know that we shouldn't have the trues down here. So then step 2, we're going to sort of make this smarter, or the correct formula to count a true only for the first one. So here we have now a second condition, and it's looking above to see if this value is less than, if C8 is less than our target. If it's true, that means this is the first one of the group. We don't know whether it's going to be a single value or whether there could be 2 after it or 10 after it. Doesn't matter. But now we flag this as true, and the ones after it are both false. These two are obviously false. They're not above or below our target. And then down here it starts again. We have another group. So this flags correctly. So now we can take this formula, we drag it all the way down, or you know what, we could at this point adapt this to do the same thing for the values that are below our limit, below, equal to or below our 40. So here we see we're doing the same thing, and this is the start of the group. We have true. This one we recognize that it's also below, but the value above is true, and we're not going to double count this. And then here we have a single value, that single value that's below the limit. Now, we could just count the number of trues here and the number of trues in step 3, but we could simply put it all together. This isn't that difficult to understand or explain to someone else. We have both of the AND statements, the one from down here and the one up here for the true, the above. So this is the above, this is the below. So we put it all together inside of an OR statement. So it's basically saying either all of this is true or all of that is true. And then we get the true value. We see one here, we see one there. We scroll down a bit, and true for this group, true for this single group. Let's scroll down even further. And here we have 4 in a row, but we only have the first one being true. same there. So this works nicely, and the reason why I really like this formula is every time we do a comparison, it's only comparing a single value to another single value. We don't have any kind of big range. We definitely don't have a growing range or expanding range that with 30,000 rows will become very, very slow. So all of these are just comparing single values. We drag it down quickly and it calculates very quickly. So we don't always have to create some monster solution. This kind of thing, we just have to think through the steps, what we want to create, work it through until we get it working perfectly. Either use these two independently or put it all together into one. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave any comments below, and here is the link if you were interested in getting the file for this video and playing around with it.